Hi, welcome. Welcome to session number 6 of the 12-week Healthy Brain Program. So I'll get started in just a few moments. I'll let a few people log in. So as you know, I live in Colorado, and there are multiple forest fires burning right now. And so if you can, please keep everyone in your prayers. There's been loss of structures, but thankfully no loss of life. Welcome, Mona. Thank you. I'm so glad you're joining me. I love to see that you're on. So again, there's multiple fires burning. This weekend was a strange weekend. Loss of cell service and credit card machines and multiple things because of the fires. The passes are still closed, both La Vida and then between Fairplay and Denver. So lots of people traveling. We're finding it really difficult. So again, keep everyone in our prayers, especially the firefighters fighting these fires. And so, with that, I'm going to get started. And as people log on, of course, they can always go back and catch up. So, here we go. So, tonight we're going to cover exercise. So, exercise boosts and optimizes the brain's immune system and actually increases the size of its most important memory structure. Exercise increases neurotropic factors in the brain, which then grow new brain cells, and they strengthen the connections between existing cells. Exercise reduces anxiety and depression. Both affect brain health. Exercise lowers your BMI. We talked about that when we covered nutrition. Exercise lowers the risk of developing diabetes, and here's a great benefit. If you already have diabetes, like I do, exercise can help lower your blood sugar. It definitely improves insulin sensitivity, which means your insulin works better. And exercise helps with sleep, and sleep will be one of the key factors in this 12-week Healthy Brain Program. Sleep is that important. So exercise reduces the amyloid. We talked about that. Remember the tangles and the amyloid plaques. Exercise reduces the amyloid in the cerebrospinal fluid. And so as we've covered throughout these entire 6 weeks, again, amyloid plaque is associated with Alzheimer's. So exercise is crucial for every system in our bodies, but exercise is especially crucial to our brains. Humans were just not designed to sit all day. We were meant to move. We're designed to move throughout the day, and we're designed to move a lot. So today on Facebook, I shared that it is never too late to start making healthy lifestyle choices. But neither is it too early. All right, we can start with our children. So no matter what your age, begin to make these healthy lifestyle choices. And if you have children in your care, begin helping them to make these choices as well. So let's get into the meat of everything tonight. Multiple studies show that lifelong exercisers are healthier overall. But the same studies also show the benefits of starting exercise later in life, like I did. So in fact, both children and the elderly, exercise is associated with better executive function. And executive function is your multitasking, planning, and self-control. So in both children and the elderly, exercise is associated with increased brain volume and improve cognitive performance, right? That's what we want. That's why we're here. So people who start exercising early in life seem less likely to experience cognitive decline. But those who pick up exercise later in life are still so much better off than those who remain inactive. So even with small steps and a clear objective, like brain and body health, anything is possible. So make a clear objective. I want brain and body health. So Our expectations about aging have changed drastically over the last century, and even more so recently. There's better studies out there. There are people who are living well into their 90s and are cognitive functioning, right? They're living full, active lives. So human capacity, both physical and mental, is constantly being reevaluated. Normal physiology is capable of remarkable things at age 60, 70, and 80 years old. And the mind can flourish and even expand in our later years. So on Facebook, when I see them come by, and I just wasn't in a space where I could forward it, there was a 71-year-old woman, bodybuilder, in a wonderful health, absolutely did not look 71. She didn't start exercising until 59. So when you see those things, share them, right? They're inspiring for all of us. But it also goes to prove that, right, she's going to really age well long into her later years. And that's what we want. We want our lifespan to match our health span, or our health span to match our lifespan, either one, right? So I'm keenly aware of the contrast in the health and functioning of people in my life. You all know this to be true. That's why I started this program. So I have family, friends, and associates who inspire me to age well, as they have. In fact, one of my very best friends is well into her 70s and is so active, still skiing, still driving, still going to concerts, right? She's one of my inspirations. Love her. And they live fully functioning, active, and life-fulfilling lives, right? Some of them are still working well into their 70s. They're skiing, they're mountain climbing, they're running, they attend concerts, they travel, right? Life-affirming. They're living full, vibrant, active lives. And these are people in my life. And on the other hand, I have friends and family who are in serious mental and physical decline. So as a trained observer, which I am, I can remove myself from the emotions of the situation and look at the differences in the two. I'm sharing this program with you because there's so much that you can do. I want you to know that. There's so much that you can do. So in my hypnotherapy and life coaching practice, I guide my clients to focus on what they do want rather than what they don't want. Our energy flows where our attention goes. And this is absolutely true, we get more of what we focus on. That's why observing the contrast of aging is so important. It's what I'm doing. I have friends and family and associates who are living well into their 70s, right, and beyond, full, active, vibrant lives. And I have family and friends who are declining. That's the contrast of aging that I'm talking about. So you are a powerful creator. You are a powerful creator of your own life. If you believe that aging is declining, both physically and mentally, this is likely the outcome of your later years. So let me say that again. You are a powerful creator of your own life. And if you believe that aging is declining, both physically and mentally, this is most likely the outcome of your later years. Because why? You get more of what you focus on. But, and this is a big but, if you believe in living fully, active, and healthy until your very last breath, and you focus on this, eating well, exercising, managing stress in healthy ways, I love this one, expanding and challenging yourself in a variety of ways, and we'll talk more about this later. And my favorite, living in optimism and gratitude. I want to say that again, living in optimism and gratitude. Well then, can you imagine how vastly different your later years will be than those who believe that aging is an incurable disease? Right? doing everything you can and focusing on what you do want will be vastly different than those who believe that aging is an incurable disease. So let's be realistic. I may not be 70 years old and reach the summit of Mount Everest. It's likely. But there is a beautiful saying one I use often: shoot for the moon, and even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. So I'm 54 now. Maybe I add reaching the summit of Mount Everest to my bucket list. And those of you who know me know I have a great bucket list. And I believe it to be part of my life's objectives, right? I actually believe it to be true and is something I want to do. So I do everything physically, mentally, and emotionally to allow this dream to come true. And are you with me? Right? Thank you. Are you with me? I focus on being optimistic about the possibility of reaching the summit of Mount Everest on my 78th birthday. So fast forward 24 years from now, after doing all this work, I realized that the summit of Mount Everest is outside the scope of my abilities. Maybe it's financially, physically, or for reasons I can't even imagine today. So instead I climb Mount Blanca because I still want to complete a physical challenge for my 78th birthday. And this one is all I could want or need to feel complete. It works for me. So here's how that goes. I shot for the moon, Mount Everest. And I landed among the stars, Mount Blanca, right? And when is good, good enough, right? If I climb to the top of Mount Blanca at 78 years old, I'm going to call that a win. But I need to do everything that I need to do now in order to make that come true. So at 78, right, if I can climb to the top of Mount Blanca, I would still say that this is a life-fulfilling activity, and everything that went into the preparation of it was a life-fulfilling activity. So I would say for climbing Mount Blanca at 78 to even be possible, my health and mental functioning has to be much better than those who wouldn't even try. And it has to be much better than many of these people, right, who believe that aging is an incurable disease. If I go ahead and shoot for the moon and land among the stars, I'm still doing better than any of those people who believed that aging was an incurable disease. And guess what? They believed it and it became true for them. It doesn't have to be true for you. I want you to know this. So during this 12-week program, my intention is to give you information, tips, and tools so that you can shoot for your own Mount Everest, right? Whatever that might be. Maybe you want to travel. Maybe you want to climb. Maybe you want to run a marathon, right? Maybe you want to run the Boston Marathon. Whatever your Mount Everest might be, right? Shoot for the moon. Land among the stars. Hit them both, right? It's all good. And so as we are halfway, can you believe it, halfway through this brain health program, let's add exercise to your life, right? If you already exercise, and many of you do, so if you already exercise, begin to add brain health to your self-talk as you exercise. Remember, self-talk is vitally important to bringing about what our subconscious mind believes to be true. So add brain health to your self-talk. And this is what I mean by this. If you exercise now, let's say you're already currently an exerciser, and in your self-talk you tell yourself that you exercise in order to keep your weight down, for instance, or that you exercise so you can compete. Your subconscious hears everything you tell yourself and works to make it true for you. So add exercise is good for my brain, right? Thank you. Begin to add these words, right? As you're exercising. Exercising is good for my brain. So your self-talk should be age appropriate, right? To make it more powerful. If you're young and already exercising, it might sound something like, the younger you are when you begin exercising, the less likely you are to have aging decline. I have the power to create the life I want to live until my very last breath. That's very powerful. You want, right? These powerful affirming statements in your self-talk. But if you're more like B, right, beginning exercising in the second half of your life, it might sound more like, right, I am a powerful creator. I utilize the power of my mind over body to gain maximum benefits from exercise. I can reverse much of the damage I caused to my body and mind when I wasn't taking good care of myself. I can increase the health of my body and brain now, right now, through my commitment to me. And I love to add this one, I love me, right? So add some power to your self-talk, because here is a very negative self-talk, right? Life sucks and then you die, or there's nothing I can do to change it, or, right, we're destined to age and that's just part of life. That's very disempowering. I want you to be empowering. I want your self-talk to be empowering. Hello, Michelle. Welcome. Thanks for joining. All right. So, self-talk is important. Make your self-talk empowering, right? Make it positive. Focus on what you do want, not on what you don't want. I don't want life to suck and then I die. I absolutely, right, want to be a powerful creator of the life I want to live. Focus on what you want, not on what you don't want in your self-talk. So let's give you some information that you can use in your own health quest. Many studies have shown that regular aerobic activity, which is defined as roughly 150 minutes per week of a moderate intensity activity. So brisk walking, which is a moderate intensity activity, to activities of increasing intensity, right? Like maybe, I don't know, Taibo or something, right? P90X, those would be intense. Running, lifting weights very intently, any of those that are intense activities. Even, you know, competitive sports would be intense, right? So as low as 150 minutes per week, that's not very much, can significantly reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease, can significantly reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. It reduces anxiety and depression, both of which affect brain health. Reduces obesity, which is, as we've discussed before, has a very negative effect on brain health. But here's why it's so important for this discussion on brain health. As little as 150 minutes, so think, 30 minutes 5 times a week, of moderate intensity activity can significantly decrease all risk factors for cognitive decline. I want to say that again. As little as 150 minutes, no matter how you break it up, 150 minutes a week of moderate intensity activity can significantly decrease all risk factors for cognitive decline. All risk factors for cognitive decline. Right? I want to add that. I want to up it, right? To make sure that I'm in the moderate zone, moderate to intense. So aerobic exercise, it's the feeling you get when your heart pumps as you're climbing the stairs, hiking a steep mountain, riding your bike, doing an actual aerobic exercise routine, or your brisk morning walks, right? I kind of like to say when you start to suck air, right? We don't want you to suck air, but we want you to begin to, right? We want your heart pumping. We want you to be breathing. A challenge, right? Make it a challenge. So aerobic exercise is vital for the heart. But remember, anything good for your heart is vital for your brain. So it's also vital for the brain. And it's all about blood flow. So anything that reduces blood flow, such as vascular stiffness, we talked about that in the nutrition, plaques in your artery, high cholesterol, or long periods of inactivity, reduces cognitive function. It reduces cognitive function because it reduces blood flow to the brain. And remember, your brain is the biggest user of your energy and your oxygen. It requires the blood flow to get there. You absolutely have to have it. So it reduces this, especially in the medial lobe, which governs short-term memory. So I want to add, right, I think that listening to a lot of information is important, but knowing the whys behind this program, right, the personal stories of why I'm so passionate about this, helps bring it home for you, right? I'm already on board. But for my family and friends who I love so much, I want you to be on board as well. And remember, if you have access to this video, you're in my life. You matter to me. So on a quick side note on short-term memory, this is what most of us associate with Alzheimer's and dementia. So like this weekend, it was particularly clear as Mark and I visited his parents, who are both in the later stages of the disease, that it was more than just that they forgot what they ate for lunch or who came to visit them that day. It was that every 10 minutes or so, they were asking the same question we had just discussed. So over the course of 60 to 80 minutes, the same questions were asked and answered over and over. Now we're all aware of it. The family's aware of it, right? Friends are aware of it. Patience is the key word. And letting go of any expectations of what our conversations used to be. So now it's all about just being with them. Hi, Leona, welcome. Now it's just about being with them, loving them. It's gonna make me cry. And being grateful that we can still see their faces and hold their hands and hug and kiss on them before saying goodbye. And that we still have the opportunity to tell them how much we love them. And they still love us. They still know who we are. That's where we're at, right? And we know that. We know that, and we're grateful for this. We are grateful because for as sad as it is, seeing them decline the way that they have, there will be a day where our loss is permanent and irreversible. This drives me, I want you to know, it drives me from my heart to openly discuss these heart-wrenching experiences with you. Any of you who knew me many years ago would know that I could never do this in public. I could never put myself out there like this. This is how important it is to me that you know how much I care about you and how much you matter. And I want you to live a full life, right? So these people I love so much are giving us the gift of changing it for ourselves. They can't change. They can't change it for them. But they absolutely, through me, right, and sharing this with you, you can change for you, right? Take action now. Now is the time to make these changes. Don't wait until it's too late and it's irreversible. You absolutely can do something now for your brain health, right? Focus on what you want, not on what you don't want, right? Focus on what you want, not on what you don't want, and take the steps now. Take the steps now. And thank you for all of you being with me on this hard, right, subject. Thank you. This isn't a fun subject, right? It can be if we can just get through and focus on what we want. But again, if you're watching this, absolutely, you matter. You matter to me. You matter to the people who love you. And absolutely, you should matter to you, right? So let me get myself together here. And we'll go back to exercise, right? To what you can do. So give me a second. And thank you for staying with me. Right? These are hard things. Absolutely hard things. So back to exercise, right? There are numerous studies that directly link aerobic exercise with cognitive health. A 2010 meta-analysis of 15 studies and nearly 34,000 people found that a high level of physical activity could lower the risk of cognitive decline by 38%. Now, I don't know about you, but I get all happy when an item is on sale 25% off, right? It's a big deal to me. So 38% is a big deal. And I shared an excerpt from the book, The Alzheimer's Solution. So please check that out too, because it goes into better detail. But it said that a researcher at the University of Lisbon found that there was a 40% lower risk of cognitive impairment and dementia, and a 60% lower risk of vascular dementia among elderly subjects who exercised, right? 40% and 60%. That's a good reduction, right? And other studies also showed similar results in overall lower risk of developing Alzheimer's or any kind of dementia for those who exercised regularly. And another study, in a groundbreaking study of intensive exercise versus stretching in individuals who already had mild cognitive impairment. The results were astounding. Those who participated in the intensive exercise, which was described as 70 to 80% of maximum heart rate, had increased blood flow to the frontal lobe, right? The important one. They're all important, but this one you really need that blood flow. This brain region is dedicated to planning, organization, judgment, and self-control. They also had increased brain size. As we decline, as the dementia and the Alzheimer's takes over, our brains decrease in size. They had improved executive function, right? We need that. We have to have our executive function. That's how we make choices and decisions and have self-control. And it also added protection against cognitive decline despite these subjects' strong genetic risk for Alzheimer's. So the stretching group, on the other hand, experienced brain shrinkage and decreased executive function due to the normal course of the dementia, meaning that the stretching didn't stop the decline. So this is not to say that stretching isn't important. It is. I quote, right, an old Chinese proverb many times, that we are only as young as our spine is flexible. I believe that to be true, right? We're only as young as we are flexible. In body, mind, and spirit is what I add. So stretching is important. It absolutely is. And pardon me, I'm going to blow my nose. Thank you for your patience with that. Okay, so for your brain health though, moderate to intensive aerobic exercise is required for brain health. It's not a zero-sum game though. You can include both. I want you to include both. They both offer so many health benefits. But make sure that aerobic exercise, and later we'll talk about strength training, make sure that these are a priority. The vascular effects of aerobic exercise are critically important for long-term cognitive health and preventing Alzheimer's. There is also evidence that aerobic exercise can enhance neural connectivity well into your 90s, right? I want that, right? After what we experienced this weekend and have been for a while, I want, right, this neural connectivity. I want it enhanced I want the very best I can have well into my 90s. I plan on going a long time. I want to work well into my 80s. So as we age, we lose neural connectivity, normally due to blockages of small blood vessels, right? Again, the brain needs blood flow. We normally have redundancy in our connections so that we can recall our memories. I shared a TED Talk today on Alzheimer's. She shows you how the redundancy is important. But lesions, amyloid plaques, and other blockages in these vessels block the retrieval of our memories. It absolutely destroys it. And once the synapse is destroyed, we can't get that memory. We have to have a new connection or another redundant connection in order to retrieve that memory. So Alzheimer's also affects the tracts that connect the hippocampus, which is your brain's memory center, with the amygdala, which is the brain's emotional center. And this affects our executive function and our problem-solving abilities. So Alzheimer's affects our executive function, right? Our self-control, and our problem-solving abilities, and we know this to be true. Studies also show that increased blood flow from aerobic exercise improves the integrity of our white matter. And aerobic exercise has been directly linked to neurogenesis, which is the regrowth of brain cells in critical memory structures like the hippocampus. Right? So again, aerobic exercise is directly linked to neurogenesis, which is the regrowth of brain cells. You need that. One more benefit of aerobic exercise before we move on to strength training and stretching and balance activities. I talked about BDNF, which is a growth factor protein that stimulates existing cells, and it promotes brain cell growth and also maintains the health of mature neurons. So all of these sound extremely important to me. I bet you would agree. So BDNF, and we'll talk about this throughout this program, BDNF has been described as fertilizer for the brain neurons. And guess what? Yep, you got it. Aerobic exercise increases the synthesis of BDNF in the brain. One study suggests that aerobic activity resulted in a threefold increase in BDNF. So I don't know about you, but 3 times the amount of BDNF versus without exercise, I can kick up my exercise routine to ensure I get that threefold increase. And along with BDNF, there are other growth factors needed for neuroplasticity, and this also increases with aerobic exercise. So great. Now we know we need, right? We need aerobic exercise. It's a must. But what about the other forms of exercise, such as strength training, yoga, tai chi, and others? All of them are good. All of them. All of them are good, and you should include a variety of types for many reasons, which I'll cover, right, the importance of variety at the end of tonight's program. So we're going to move on to resistance training, strength training. Resistance training reduces bone loss, maintains muscle, increases balance, and decreases the risk of falling, which is a major concern for the elderly, and especially the elderly with cognitive decline and dementia. So here was something I did not know. Research has shown that leg strength in particular is correlated with better cognitive function. Leg strength in particular is correlated with better cognitive function. Likely because strong leg muscles help blood circulate up to the brain. Right? That makes sense to me. Now additionally, people who weight train are stronger and more flexible, which allows them to exercise later in life and avoid many of the limitations that prevent the elderly from exercising. Strength training has been shown to decrease the number of white matter lesions. Remember that white matter, matters, and improve attention in the elderly. And then do you remember the brain fertilizer, BDNF? Well, resistance training resulted in a 98% increase in the level of BDNF in a study by the University of Florida. 98%! Come on, that's a lot of fertilizer. Fertilizer we need for our brain health. And in another study, I want you to know, this is all backed up, right? Brain health matters. There's a lot of studies. In another study at the University of British Columbia, individuals who weight trained demonstrated better cognitive abilities than those who did stretching and toning routines only. So strength training improves the health of arteries throughout the body, and the effects last long after the exercise is complete. So I want to say that again. Strength training improves the health of arteries throughout the body and in the brain, and the effects last long after exercise is complete. Strength training significantly reduces the formation of cholesterol plaques, therefore increasing the supply of essential nutrients and blood into the brain, right? Remember, those small vessels got blocked. So strength training significantly reduces the formation of these blockages. Serum homocysteine, which leads to inflammation. And what's inflammation? If you remember right, it's the body and brain on fire. So back to serum homocysteine, which leads to inflammation and subsequent damage to blood vessels, has been shown to decrease following 6 months of high or low intensity exercise, resistance exercise in older adults. So you can reduce this serum homocysteine, which leads to inflammation and damage to your blood vessels, by 6 months. That's not very long, right? We want to live a long time, so we can do the 6 months of high or low intensity resistance exercise. Another study, a recent study, showed 47% improvement in cognitive scores after resistance training. 47%, right? Have you ever gone to a half-off sale? You feel pretty lucky. So imagine that you can reduce, right, your risk, you can improve your cognitive scores by 47%. And these effects lasted over 18 months, right? So after the study, 18 months later, the effects were still in effect. That's pretty impressive, pretty impressive. Another study showed that after a 9-week program of both strength training and aerobics, it resulted in better brain function than either activity alone, right? We need variety. We really do. Include both aerobics and resistance or strength training. So regular exercise, that's why this is so important. Regular exercise is a powerful way to heal your brain on a cellular level. That's where it matters. To increase your brain's strength and resiliency. Remember that concept that we've been talking about, your brain reserve. Regular exercise increases your brain's strength and resiliency. It is a muscle. You need to work it, right? You need to exercise it. You need to keep it strong and resilient. All right. So remember I talked about the power of variety on your neuroplasticity. So let's dig in a little bit. The benefits of any exercise increases dramatically when a given activity involves multiple cognitive modalities. So the main idea is that activating multiple brain systems challenges the brain in complex, multimodal ways, thereby creating stronger connections and more resilience. Right? So the more complex the activity is, creates stronger connections and more resilience. So here's an example. Consider the difference between walking on a treadmill and participating in a sport like basketball that strengthens your reflexes, balance, and hand-eye coordination, and at the same time requires you to memorize different plays. Right? You're putting everything into motion, and you're having to think it through. You have to strategize, right? You have to predict what the other player's going to do. Simply throwing a ball uses visuospatial awareness, attention, and motor control. Yoga, which we'll cover even later in the program under stress reduction, yoga involves awareness of specific muscle groups and also challenges balance, breathing, and attention. Nintendo Wii, which I really like, and other similar devices offer a constantly changing interface that keeps the brain active and engaged and can be a great alternative for those who get bored with bikes and treadmills, right, which are a very low mental challenge, right? Yes, you get your workout, and I use them, but they're a low mental challenge. So brain health research promotes that the more complex the activity is, the more it provides protection against cognitive decline. So I want you to know that after doing this program, I have to make some changes in my own exercise routines because they're not challenging mentally. All right, the ultimate goal should be to find something that keeps you active, challenges your brain, and makes you happier in the process. Right? So this is your ultimate goal. Find something, many things I would say, that keep you active, challenge your brain, and make you happier in the process. So one last plug for yoga, tai chi, and other balance and movement focused activities. All of these practices are proven to improve your balance, improve your muscle strength, and reduce stress. Absolutely they do. And reducing stress will be covered in an upcoming brain health session. It's vital to your health. Like nutrition and exercise, stress reduction will be one of the core tools of this program. And I don't know about you, but if you've ever tried yoga, you know it isn't an easy form of movement. It absolutely challenges you and your muscles in all kinds of ways. So yoga, tai chi, and other balance and movement-focused exercise should also be high on your list of priorities. Now, if you're like me and you have an injury or other physical limitation, you have an added challenge. I have a trick knee right now that's, boogering up all my progress. So I want you to know that I understand. So if you have injuries or physical limitations, I understand you have an added challenge. I can relate. But like I said earlier, you can focus on your limitations. You can focus on your limitations, but this is focusing on what you don't want. Right? So if you continually feed into that limitation and how it's preventing you from doing what you want, you're focusing on what you don't want, and you'll get more of that. Or you can do as I've asked you to, right? Focus on what you do want. So work with your limitations. Be creative in ways to include physical activity that accommodate your limitations. And the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. So don't let a limitation stop you from achieving your goals of brain health and a vibrant life until the end of your years. Right? The sky's the limit. Don't let a limitation stop you from achieving your goals of brain health and this vibrant life that I want for me and for every one of you until the end of your years. So work with your doctor. As you know, I'm not a doctor and I don't give medical advice. Work with your doctor. Seek out the services of an occupational therapist, right? These are therapists that are trained in showing you how to accomplish tasks in alternate ways that accommodate your physical injuries or limitations. Sorry, I got really tongue-tied on that. So these therapists, let me repeat that, are trained in showing you how to accomplish tasks in alternate ways that accommodate your physical injuries or limitations. Remember, ultimately, you are responsible for your own well-being. So neuroplasticity, right? That's, the strength and resiliency of your brain. Neuroplasticity can be improved through many different activities, and the more you include in your daily life, the better you will be in your later years. So imagine that neuroplasticity is vital to increasing your brain reserves. In fact, that could be considered one and the same, right? Neuroplasticity is probably your brain reserves. Nobody has said that, but I think they're directly linked. They're tied that much. So choose an activity such as pull-ups or lunges, and then make mental reminders to do one or two every time you see the reminder, right? So instead of doing 20 at one time, choose something that's outside of your routine, right? We're talking about neuroplasticity, making new neural connections. So have some reminders to do one or two every time you see the reminder. So you can set a reminder on any of your devices, your phone, your Fitbit, your watch, whatever, and then do one or two of that movement. You're building new neural pathways for that movement when you perform it frequently and without stress or strain, right? So instead of it being, 30 to 50 at one time, you're doing one or two. You do it frequently without the stress and strain, and you build new neural pathways. And the more neural pathways you have, the more resilient your brain is. The more you can make those connections to other things should any of those connections get damaged. So seek novelty in your routines. So tonight we're talking about exercise. And following the same routine every day reduces the metabolic costs of experiencing and perceiving it. This is good for base survival because it means our brains aren't working very hard, right? That treadmill. I can do it with my eyes closed and listen to my hypnosis recording, right? Why? Because it's the same routine. And so my brain isn't working very hard. So instead, make your brain work. Take a different path to work. Take a different path on your walk. Try something new or scary, right? Like a roller coaster. Jumping out of a plane. You all know I want a parachute. River rafting, right? Make it new, even scary. Visit a different part of your community or surrounding area. Anything to be less efficient. Making you think, right? Your brain at work. Making you think about what you are doing. So this is why it's important. Have you ever noticed that if you're driving in a strange place, a new town or state, for instance, how alert are you? Right? You have to be aware and think about what you're doing. You can't drive on autopilot if you've never been there before. So in your exercise routine, don't be on autopilot. Change it up, right? This can be learning a new sport, right, which would be really hilarious for me, but I might do it, right? Joining a group, which is scary for a lot of us. Learning new physical routines, such as, an aerobic or dance or whatever. I wrote this, right? Think dance, aerobics, yoga, etc. and get creative, right? And imagine joining a gym. That scares the bejesus out of me, right? That's what I need to do. That's what I'm talking about. Change it up. Get out of your exercise routine, right? Make it more challenging. You will benefit in many ways. So imagine that being creative in any kind of activity. Imagine that being creative is making your brain work also. So get creative in making your brain work. One of the best ways for neuroplasticity is to learn a new language. I want to put out a shout out to Joanne Valdez, who inspires me. Any of you who follow her, she cooks magnificent food. And now she's learning Italian, and she tells you about the food in Italian. You inspire me, Joanne. Way to go. So there's no better way to test and train your neuroplasticity than learning an entirely new form of communication. This is amazingly effective for your brain, your plasticity. So again, get creative. It can be another language, or you could even take up sign language or Braille, right? A lot of people do learn sign language. Same concept as learning Italian, right? Do you like Egyptology? I know there's a few of us who do. You can learn hieroglyphs. You absolutely can. Take a class at your local college or try an online course. The sky's the limit, right? What does it hurt to learn hieroglyphs? You don't have to use it in your profession to have fun with it and to learn, right? Learning should be fun. Do something that interests you. Do something that interests you. So in the same vein as new language, which activates and engages both hemispheres of your brain, take up a new hobby or craft that is active, right? Take painting classes, piano or guitar lessons, photography, woodworking, mechanic classes. Imagine how challenging taking a mechanic class would be for me. Would I do it on my own car? I don't know. But learning it, right, in an environment such as Trinidad Junior College would be great for my brain. Can't hurt, right? So whatever it is, it will engage you and stretch you in so many ways, including creating new neural pathways in cells. I want you to hear that. This neuroplasticity, learning something new, and especially if you're having fun, being creative, right? Even taking the painting classes in Alamosa creates new neural pathways in cells. Not only will it help your brain health, but come on, it's a true life enjoyment. Live a little or live a lot. The choice is yours. Next is practiced, focused attention. And this one's hard for me. I want you to hear that. I'm a jack of all trades, and my attention span is easily drawn away. But when you fully focus your attention on objects, events, new information, and conversations, right, neuroplasticity is heightened. So focused attention literally sucks information into the brain, right? Focused attention literally sucks information into the brain, increasing your neuroplasticity. And the opposite of focused attention would be listening with one ear. Wow, which wastes time. Just waste time, yours and theirs. Right? This is a special note for me. So the opposite of focused attention would be listening with one ear, which just wastes time, yours and theirs. So one of my favorite neuroplasticity activities is exploring, right? Exploration is an attitude towards experiencing one's environment rather than just moving from point A to point B. So even going to Del Norte, right, and taking a different route, right? That's changing it up from point A to B, right? And exploration challenges us to investigate our surroundings. So imagine if I drove down, east, and I'm in the middle of Del Norte and Monte Vista. Imagine I drove to the east, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 miles, took a county road, went either direction, north or south, caught the next road that goes back east and west, and drove to Del Norte that way. Right? That's exploring. That would definitely challenge me to experience and investigate my surroundings. I would see new houses, new animals, new everything, right? And my favorite, you've heard me say that life should be full of wonder. So explore with a childlike wonder. Imagine what that is. Childlike wonder, explore. Remember, your world should be full of wonder, right? That's part of the joy, right, of living this life. So have you noticed just how tired you get after a day of traveling to a new location? Well, there's a reason why. It's not the only one, but there's a reason why. Travel challenges us to absorb substantial detail while exploring our new environment. We have to look for food, right? We have to find our hotel. We have to experience a new room. We have to experience new people, right? These are people we've never met before, and we depend on them. If you're taking an Uber or something, you depend on somebody new to get you where you're going. You are absolutely absorbing substantial detail while exploring your new environment. So while traveling, one way to increase your neuroplasticity is to take guided tours and remember to focus your attention fully while exploring. And two more of my favorite neuroplasticity activities. Develop stimulating relationships. I love this. And laughed often. Love laughing. Mine go hand in hand, right? Most of my stimulating relationships come with a sense of humor. Mine or theirs, or both. So to increase neuroplasticity with relationships, you just gotta stretch yourself. You have to stretch. As we age, we tend to seek out those things and people we're familiar with. So in our family, again, hopefully I won't cry, we're seeing this firsthand. The change in environment, food, routine can create such a dramatic stress response, and those with brain decline. As we age and lose our neuroplasticity, we don't use the neural pathways we have. And because we get more and more stuck in just a few simple routines, we lose those pathways and we don't create any new ones. It's a spiraling down effect. And then soon, very soon, right? It's a spiraling effect. I want you to know how fast it goes. Things like cooking, cleaning, hygiene, and the rest become increasingly difficult. Even using the phone or the remote becomes just challenging. And then when someone in the latter stages of dementia, they have to do things outside of the routine, such as travel, lab work, x-rays, or scans, these things they can't understand because they no longer have, right, that executive function, it can throw them into such a panic and produce an extreme stress response. And calming someone with Alzheimer's and dementia when they don't understand what's happening can be a monumental task for the caregivers, right? So stretch yourself. Find new ways to meet new people. If you have to take a friend with you, right, do it. But find new ways to meet new people. So this needs to be a learning experience, right? Or it can be, sorry. It can be a learning experience along with meeting the new people. So all the better. All the better. So join a book club, attend college courses, or other forms of adult learning. But add in some fun too. You know me, I'm all about fun. So there are travel groups. I'm all about travel. Remember my bucket list. This one's really fitting well, right? Add in some fun. Add in new people. Add in new experiences. So travel groups, discussion groups, exercise groups, right? If I joined the gym or joined a yoga group or an aerobics group, right? That would be good for me. But don't forget volunteering in your own community, right? Join a cause like feeding the hungry, volunteering at the homeless shelter or the animal shelter. You will meet new people. You'll have new activities, right? The benefits are tenfold, absolutely. You're doing something that will make you feel useful and helping others, right? We love that. We are meant to serve. We came here to do so. Plus, you'll be exposed to new things as you do the volunteering work, right? If you're in the animal shelter, there's rules, there's things you need to do, right? And you'll meet new people. Imagine the benefits. Imagine the benefits for your brain, body, and spirit. So I want to close with something I believe in so strongly, and something that has changed my life. The power of optimism and gratitude. As I was researching how to increase neuroplasticity, I came across one tip I absolutely fell in love with, one that validated what I already know to be true. Practice positive forward thinking. The article said that we can physically increase those areas of our brain's structure that generate positive thoughts and emotions. Check. It's absolutely true. Right? So true. I want to say it again. Right? We can physically increase those areas of our brain's structure that generate positive thoughts and emotions. Check. Again, do it. By working at framing positive thoughts and taking positive actions, we can create increases in the size of the areas of the brain that generate positive feelings. With practice, and I know this to be true, we can make ourselves naturally happier and more positive. And I want you to know, it also makes you more resilient. So what our family is going through is very difficult. It absolutely is. But because I am naturally happier and more positive, I am moving through this much healthier. Right? Much healthier. So with practice, you can make yourself naturally happier and more positive and healthier in the long run. So conversely, it can be said that engaging regularly in negative thinking has the ability to grow the areas of the brain that produce negative feeling, unleashing a downward spiral. Right? Engaging regularly in negative thinking has the ability to grow the areas of the brain that produce negative feeling, unleashing a downward spiral. Right? Bam, bazinga, bingo, and hallelujah. Absolutely, this is what I guide my clients into happiness, right? When they come to me and they just want to be happy, right? By focusing your attention on optimism and gratitude, it can change your life. Yes, yes, and yes. Right? Learn the power of optimism and gratitude. It can and will change your life. It changed mine. And now, right? Do it now. Because now it promotes brain health as well, right? In my world, miracles never cease. And God continues to amaze me. Right? Miracles never cease. And God continues to amaze me. Right? So good night. Join me again next week when I cover sleep and renewing. Remember, if you're watching this with me or any of my Facebook, you matter to me so much, right? So remember to love yourself well. Good night.